welcome to Storytime. This is the story of Little Red Riding Hood by Jess Stockham. I thought I'd go and visit Grandmother today, said Little Red Riding Hood. That's a good idea, replied her mum. Why don't you take her a basket of treats? She has been sick and they will help to cheer her up. Be careful walking through the wood. There may be wolves. Little Red Riding Hood loaded the basket with lots of lovely things. I'll put some apples in as well, she thought, and pick some shiny red ones from the trees. But she didn't realise that a hungry wolf was watching everything that she did. The wolf jumped out in front of Little Red Riding Hood as she skipped through the forest. Don't come near me, she warned him, or I'll shout for Will the Woodman. I only wondered where you were going, answered the wolf. To see my grandmother, Little Red Riding Hood explained. And no, you can't come as well, so off you go. And there he is, asking if he can come with Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf slunk back into the bushes. Little Red Riding Hood went on her way. But in the middle of the wood she stopped to make a daisy chain for her grandmother. The wolf, meantime, ran ahead to Grandmother's house and climbed in through an open window. But someone was watching him. Who was it? Can you remember? Please don't eat me, begged Grandmother. I'm only skin and bone, not a nice meal at all. Don't worry, snarled the fox. I'm after fresher meat. I wonder who the wolf really wanted to eat if he didn't want to eat Granny. Wonder who it could be. Who is he waiting for? He tied poor Grandmother up and shut her in a big cupboard. Oh no, poor Grandmother. As soon as he had shut Grandmother away, the wolf went to her wardrobe. He took out a big nightdress and he put it on. Then he put on her best nightcap and her glasses and he jumped into her bed. So look, he's looking at himself in the mirror. He's going to make himself look like Granny. Look. He's dressed himself up. He's going to pretend to be Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother. Soon Little Red Riding Hood arrived and knocked on the door. The wolf called out in a gruff voice, "Who is it?" "It's Little Red Riding Hood. Can I come in? You sound very hoarse." How kind of you," said the wolf. "Please come in and we'll have something to eat." He's got got his knife and fork ready. I wonder who he really wants to eat. Little Red Riding Hood found her grandmother tucked up in bed.
I'm a bit better now, said Grandmother in a husky voice. But it's lovely to see you anyway.
You look a little different, said Little Red Riding Hood, peering at her. What big eyes you've got, Grandmother.
All the better to see you, your pretty face with, replied the grandmother.
Look at those big eyes. Little Red Riding Hood looks a bit scared, doesn't she? I've never thought this before, said Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, Grandmother, what big ears you've got as well.
All the better to hear you with, my dear, said Grandmother.
And I hope you don't mind me saying, said Little Red Riding Hood, looking even closer at her grandmother, but what big teeth you've got! Ha ha ha! Snarled the wolf. All the better to eat you with, my dear. And he jumped out of bed and he tore off his night clothes and he tried to jump and catch Little Red Riding Hood. But before he reached Little Red Riding Hood, Will the Woodman burst through the door, and the wolf took one look at Will's knife, big axe. Here's Will the Woodcutter with the axe. And he fainted on the floor.
Oh, went the big bad wolf.
Where's Grandmother? Asked Little Red Riding Hood. Surely the big bad wolf hasn't eaten her up. What's that banging? Said Will the Woodman. What's that banging? Will opened the cupboard door, and there, on the floor, rolled out, was Granny. Little Red Riding Hood put her grandmother back to bed, and together they shared the basket of food, and they shared them with Will. It's quite a party, said Grandmother. I'm feeling much better already. Where do you think is the big bad wolf? Do you think he might be inside the cupboard? Shall we look? Yes. So they've tied up the big bad wolf, just like the big bad wolf had tied up poor Grandmother. Oh. I don't think the big bad wolf will be coming to see Grandmother ever again. Do you? The